subscribers as well. Thank you guys for joining me. And if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe. I do try my best to drop videos, but I do kind of have like a busy schedule. But I am working on dropping videos as often, and the more comments you guys leave, it encourages me and it lets me know, hey, I want more of this. Okay, alright, so let's get into today's video with the interesting and fun facts you need to know. Art and artists. A Dutch artist discovered a way to create clouds in the middle of a room by carefully balancing humidity, lightning, and temperature. He uses this regularly in his artwork. Xylography is the art of engraving on wood. The well-known Leonardo da Vinci was a huge lover of animals. In fact, he was a vegetarian and was also known to buy birds from markets only to set them free. A Mexican artist created an underwater sculpture series that double as art and an artificial reef. There is a method of art called tree shaping, where living trees are manipulated to create forms of art. The Singing Tree is a wind-powered sound sculpture located in Burnley, England, and was designed by architects Mike Tonkin and Anna Lou. Each time you sit under it, you'll hear a melody played depending on the wind for that day. The Mona Lisa has no eyelashes or eyebrows. In 1961, Italian artist Piero Manzoni filled 90 tin cans of his own feces, called them artist shit, and sold them according to their equivalent weights in gold. In China, there is a 233-foot, 71-meter tall stone statue built of Buddha that was constructed over 1,200 years ago. The famous painter Salvador Dali would avoid paying the bill at restaurants by drawing on the back of his checks. He knew the owner wouldn't want to cash the checks, as the drawings would be too valuable. There's an artist named Scott Wade who was famous for creating dust art on dirty cars using only his fingers and a brush. In the Curve Gallery at the Barbican Centre in London, there's something called the Rain Room, where 12-foot, 3.7-meter tall paper tree doll. There's an artist named Brian Lay that has the unique ability to draw in negatives. The Terracotta Army is a collection of more than 8,000 clay soldiers, chariots, and horses that took around 37 years to make. They were buried with the emperor in 210 BC with the purpose of protecting him in his afterlife. Michelangelo wrote a poem about how much he hated painting the Sistine Chapel. 8 of the 10 largest statues in the world are of Buddhas. The 3 wise monkeys actually have names. The see no evil monkey is named Misaru. The hear no evil monkey is named Mikazaru. And the speak no evil monkey is named Masaru. Alright, this part is called Bazaar. Let's get into it. In London, there's a public toilet encased in a glass cube that's made entirely of one-way glass, where you can see passers-by, but they can't see you. It's possible to hire an evil clown to terrorize your son or daughter for an entire week before their birthday. For a fee, artist Dominique Deville will increasingly pursue your child and leave scary notes, texts, and phone calls, and ultimately attack your child on their birthday by smashing a cake in their face. In response to China's worsening air pollution, a Chinese millionaire started selling cans of fresh air for the price of 80 cents a can. Incredibly, he made over $6 million. The longest someone has stayed awake continuously is 265 hours, which was in 1964 by a high school student. There are now snuggery services where you can hire someone to snuggle with you for $60 per hour. In Switzerland, if you fail your practical driver license 3 times, you are required to consult an official psychologist to assess the reason for your previous failures before you're allowed to retake the exam. There is a Japanese practice known as forest bathing, where you just hang out around trees. It's proven to lower blood pressure, heart rate, reduce stress, boost your immune system, and increase your overall well-being. You are not allowed to flush the toilet after 10 p.m. in Switzerland. Other bizarre things you can't do in this country are using a high-pressure power hose on your car, hiking naked, hanging out laundry, cutting your grass, or recycling on Sundays. Some random things you must do in this country are paying tax on your dog if you have one, and having a buddy for pets such as guinea system. Side note, the author of the novel created part of the name of the book when he was looking at a filing cabinet and saw the letters OZ. There are 3 books in Harvard University that are bound in human skin. Yale has a rare book manuscript library that has no windows, but instead it has walls entirely made of translucent marble that prevents the books from being exposed to direct sunlight. Author J.K. Rowling wrote the final chapter of the last Harry Potter book in 1990, 7 years before the release of the first book. The children's book Where the Wild Things Are was originally titled Where the Wild Horses Are. However, the author and illustrator Maurice Sendak ended up changing the name of it after he realized he had no idea how to draw horses. The best-selling book in history is the Bible with 5 billion copies in sales. DC Comics published an alternate universe where Bruce Wayne dies instead of his parents. In it, Thomas Wayne becomes Batman, and Martha Wayne goes crazy and becomes a Joker. The first ever occurrence of the name Wendy was in Peter Pan. This name had never been registered before the book's publication. There is an ancient book called The Voynich from the Italian Renaissance that no one can read. In 1994, Leonardo da Vinci Codex Leicester notebook was bought by Bill Gates for $30.8 million. Besides adding the item to his personal collection, he used it to also help promote Windows Vista's launch by using a program called Turning the Pages 2.0 that would let people browse through virtual versions of the notebook. In 1983, Marvel published a comic called Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Ham. The character was a spider pig named Peter Porker. There's a book that exists called Everything Men Know About Woman that has 100 pages, all of which are blank. In 1975, Professor Jack Hetherington from Michigan State University added his cat as a co-author to a theoretical paper that he had been working on. He did this because he mistakenly used words like we and our in the paper and didn't feel like revising it. There's a Russian published novel called The Last Ring Bearer, which retells the Lord of the Rings from the perspective of Sauron. The letter U was first used as a substitute for the word you, Y-O-U, by William Shakespeare in his comedy Love's Labor Lost around 1595. script of Lord of the Rings was once a long saga, but it was split into 3 books for the publishers to make more money. The Code of Hammurabi is a well-preserved Babylonian law that dates all the way back to 1772 BC, which had progressive laws in it such as minimum wage and the right to be a free man. It was written well before the Bible. Adult coloring books are becoming a huge trend, and publishers actually struggle to keep up with demand. The books seem to be a way to successfully reduce stress and relieve anxiety. They are even used as rehabilitation aids for patients who are recovering from strokes. In the novel Forrest Gump, that the movie was based upon, Forrest goes into space with NASA, but upon returning, he crash lands on an island full of cannibals and only manages to survive by beating the head cannibal every day at chess. Journalist Sarah Bongiorni and her family attempted to live without Chinese-made goods for an entire year and found it almost impossible. They documented their experience in a book called A Year Without Made in China. Richard Kleinkammer, a Dutch crime writer, wrote a suspicious book on 7 ways to kill your spouse. 1 year after his wife disappeared, he became a celebrity and spent the next decade hinting that he murdered her, and in 2000, it turned out that he really had, after her skeleton was discovered at his former residence. The reason Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is longer than the first 3 books is because author J.K. Rowling made a plot hole halfway through and had to go back and fix it. The Old Testament was written over the course of 1,000 years, whereas the New Testament was written within 75 years. Before the Renaissance era, 3/4 of all books in the world were in Chinese. J.K. Rowling is the first author to reach billionaire status. She also holds the status of losing her billionaire status due to giving away most of her money.